This video is an overview to the Sapling and Junior Master revisions for the new term. Let's start with Junior Master. There have been updates to the 4 skills training. In the coming year, Leader in Me will also be added to our APACS talks, and Test Prep and Advanced Grammar has been added on CTP Day. Now let's take a look at the class structures and the operation plan. In this example, we're going to look at a Tuesday and Friday class. First, if we take a look at Friday, we can see that reading is now extended to a full 90-minute lesson. So lesson 1 would be reading. Moving on, we can see that lesson 1 would continue then for writing and speaking. Then we would have our test prep and CTP day. That will be followed by lesson 2, reading. Continue then for writing and speaking again, and then the students would record the CTP on this day and have their test prep. Moving forward, we have a supplement class because of that holiday for King's Day. Then we would have lesson 3 reading, and that would be followed by our lesson 3 writing and listening. So every third lesson the students would cover listening. Moving forward, to take a look at the class structures themselves, we can see that here we have our daily expression on lesson 1 and 80 minutes of reading. On day 2, we would have lesson 1 continued. So the students are still covering the same topic, but this time we would have daily expression with writing and speaking. And then on day 3, the students would have their quiz, followed by test prep for 40 minutes, and then CTP preparation here in this half of the class. Then moving forward, the students would come back for lesson 2. They would have this reading day here. They would do lesson 2, writing and speaking, and then they would have day 3 where they would do test prep and record the CTP. Then they would move down to the bottom cycle here where they would have lesson 3, reading, followed by lesson 3, writing and listening, and then lesson 3 or day 3, test prep and debate. Here are the changes to the reading components. So they have extended from 50 minutes to 80 minutes, and we've added the components of interactive reading, reading skill application, and the visual map has changed to a summary page. So we'll go over each of these in more detail in the following slides. The interactive reading, this page would be completed as preview homework by students so they have an understanding of the topic for today. So in class you would pick a couple of these questions and have a quick discussion before the lesson begins. We have reading skills. So for Junior Master 1, each of these, all of the reading skills are introduced on lesson 1. And then you would continue to reinforce these skills for the rest of the units. For Junior Master 2, you can see that there are different skills introduced in Unit 1, 2, 3, and 4. Reading skill application then. So we've introduced our reading skills and then we're going to apply it to the passage itself. So those skills are constantly reinforced by having students circle the topic, underline the thesis statement, highlight the topic sentence, and underline the supporting details. So they're constantly reinforced throughout each of the units. This visual map then has changed to the summary. So here are 2 examples of summary pages. To go into more detail, the students now would find where the thesis statement, topic sentences, and supporting details are located and use them in order to help them write a summary of the passage. This is a different variation on the summary page where students would write short phrases for beginning, middle, and end and use that to write their summary. And for Track B and Junior Master 2, another variation we have in order to help students write a longer, more detailed summary of the passage. Moving on to our writing skill. Writing now has been extended by 10 minutes and we've added in writing skill practice and organization and passage writing during this component. So here are the skills that would be outlined for Junior Master 1 and Junior Master 2 on various lessons. if you introduced one of these skills on lesson 1, for example, you would then continue that for lesson 2. Next, the passage writing component, where students will be able to practically apply the writing skill that they've learned on the previous page to, for example, brainstorm ideas. Next, the students would take all of their brainstormed ideas and apply each of the reading skills that we're constantly reinforcing throughout. So this can help them organize the writing when they move on to the passage. Moving on to speaking, it's also been extended by 10 minutes to add in presentation skills. Then we would have our topical speaking page, and that's followed up by a question and answers section. So here are some of the skills that are introduced for each unit and the topical speaking page itself. So there you can see the note-taking handout, which allows students to write down the presenter's name, their main points, and any follow-up questions. On to listening then. The listening now comprises a listening skill, followed up by the knowledge activation page. Then the students would listen to the full passage and take notes on the main idea and the topic, and that will be followed up by more detailed listening, where they're going to outline all of the listening skills, and then they would complete a comprehension check page. Here are the skills that we will be covering for Junior Master 1, Junior Master 2. And here we have the listening comprehension checkup page, where the students will use their note-taking skills in order to write down the key listening skills that we cover on the topic. A comprehension check is also added to listening. Moving on to the test prep then, so the students would receive these skill books and they will complete their test prep on CTP day in the first 40 minutes of class. So you would look at your teacher's guide to see what components you're covering during this test prep. For example, it could outline to teach reading and grammar in that 40 minutes. So that will be divided into 20 minutes of reading and 20 minutes of grammar. That can be further subdivided into a strategy, so where you're introducing the task for 5 minutes. You have this page here that will cover the main question types, frequently appeared questions on tests, and strategies. You also have example questions that you can go through and discuss with your students, and then you have practice questions where you would allow your students to complete the task, and then you would have a review and justification of answers. So that would be one 20-minute section on reading, for example, and then the students would move on and perhaps do one on listening or grammar usage. Also included is an appendix which students can refer to if they need help. Next, we'll take a look at the chunk quiz. The chunk quiz structure has changed slightly, and it's also now included in the chunk book. So students will complete their quiz alongside their homework. Now let's take a look at the changes to the Sapling curriculum. There has been a very slight revision to topical speaking for Sapling, mainly in how the page is designed for students. The test prep component that we've just looked through for Junior Master that helps students prepare for TOEFL Junior exams has also been added to Sapling, and that will be completed on CTP days. And finally, there has been a minor update to GATE where the and more section will contain the test prep materials. So you can pull that up on the board as the students complete the work in their books. Thanks for watching.